Our purpose in this video is to give you some tips on both how to maintain the MyTana equipment and also how to run it effectively and try to maximize the use of it. At your facility, we know that you have both 661s and the model M81, and you also have the M15 jetter. So we'll try to detail those three particular machines for you. The M661 you will often store like this, and you may want to transport with or without the reel. So what I did was took this all apart, and what I'd like to do is we'll start with several maintenance tips, and then we'll start with the actual assembly process before we clean and drain with it. Most of the time you can, some people will choose to take the hose and the air hose and the pedal off. Other people will leave it on. If you've clamped it on, it will need to stay on. Other people remove that every time from the stem of the air switch, and that's certainly up to you. Before we go further, another tip for attaching the machine to the little work cart, which I know you have at your facility, is simply bring the work cart up behind the machine. You can step on the front of the machine, slide the cart underneath so that the back two legs drop into the slots, turn the handle, lift the handle up and over, and it's clamped on, and then you can use that. Use it as you wish, or if you need to set the machine on a counter, inside a bathtub, or whatever, you can remove it easily and quickly from the cart. Several other maintenance tips that I want to cover with you. Off camera, on camera. There's a little independent collar at the front of the main shaft of the machine. As you can see, it spins independently of the rotation of the machine. And the reason for that is the revolving or feed arm that your cable will slide through attaches to that collar. A set screw will tighten down into the groove of this collar. For that reason, it's important that this collar always be free and that it doesn't bind up on this against the main shaft. The easiest way to maintain that is simply squirt some oil in between the grooves here occasionally, and that's all it'll take. Some people will leave this assembled all the time. It's a good idea periodically, once a week, depending on the amount that you use your machine, to take that off, oil it up good, and that will assure that the rotation of the arm will always be independent of the rotation of the reel, which is important as you feed your cable in and out. Another maintenance item, the machine has two oil cups on top of pillow blocks. The purpose of these oil cups is to lubricate the main shaft of the machine. And for that, all you need to do is again take an oil can, lift the cap on the top of the pillow block, and drop several drops of oil in there. Again, once a week, several times a week, whatever. There is a fabric around a bushing that soaks the oil. The oilite bushing then will transfer the oil in against the main shaft. So it doesn't take a lot. It's a pillow block that's similar to those that you'll find on clothes dryers. There's one on the front part here, right underneath the handle, and there's one on the back side of the machine, both of those lubricating the main shaft. Other than that, for maintenance, there's very little. Check the belt tightness occasionally. Over time, belts may loosen a little bit. And you can tighten the front belt by sliding the motor over. There are 4 bolts you can loosen and slide over. You can tighten the back belt with 2 bolts that adjust this entire L-shaped bracket here. 9 times out of 10, you won't have to do that for even a number of years. Okay. That takes us to the assembly of the machine. For assembly, okay, should we take a break? Okay. All right, the assembly of the machine. Before I began the assembly, I took the trap off of the underneath the kitchen sink here at the MyTana factory, and it's a good example of what you'll often run into. And since I'm actually going to be doing some cleaning, I also put down some cardboard. I'm sure that your franchise will require some sort of a protection of the floor, and the tarp will work, cardboard can work, and various other things that will protect whatever surface you're cleaning. For the assembly process, because the cable will get quite dirty over time, you may have already cleaned the cable, you may not have cleaned the cable. I prefer myself to, when I assemble the machine, to assemble it bare-handed and then have rags or something available to keep my hand clean. I have better grip that way. The hub of the reel simply slides right over the main shaft of the machine, as so. There is a spring. I'll turn the machine. There's a drive spring behind the reel that will attach to the drive shaft. The spring, or the rotation of the shaft with the spring hooked to it, is what will actually push the reel around. And for assembly, I prefer to leave the drive spring detached from the drive arm until I have everything ready to go. The last thing I do is attach the spring to the drive arm, and I'll show you why. Reach inside the drum, pull a little bit of cable out, push through the revolving arm. Sometimes it's called a feed arm, sometimes it's called a Y arm. There are various names for this. We actually call it a revolving arm at MyTana. Twist and push is the easiest way to get this through. When you have 1.5 inches or several inches of cable through the other side, insert the arm onto the main shaft of the machine, and with a long-handled Allen wrench or hex wrench, you should have gotten one with each machine, you can reach down through the spoke of the reel and tighten down the set screw into the groove of the little independent collar that we talked about in the maintenance section. You don't have to over-tighten. Over-tightening can actually tighten the collar too hard against the shaft. So a snug fit is good. Make sure that the arm is rotated freely, and you're ready to go. The next step will be to attach whatever fitting you wish to use, depending on what you'll be cleaning. Today we're going to go ahead and start with the blade because we have a straight shot down into the 1.5 inch drain that we'll be cleaning. So I'll start with the smallest blade, and we'll attach to the front of the cable. However, if in some cases you're cleaning traps, or if you're cleaning back-to-back sinks, or depending on if you're in a floor drain, for instance, you may want to start with another fitting. A grease spring is often good for laundry tubs. It's good for floor drains, as is a swivel head or a drop head. Attaching the blade, I use a vice grip, and I'll use a 7/16 wrench. And we simply use a lock washer and a 1/4 inch nut to nut the blade down on top of the cable. I'll use the vice grip to hold the cable right behind the threaded male end, and then I'll use the wrench to tighten it down. You don't have to over-tighten this. With a lock washer on there and with the pressure of the cable against that blade, which also serves as a locking device, you don't have to really, really tighten down too hard. That's plenty snug right there. Okay. I've already plugged in an extension cord. However, I haven't plugged in the extension cord into the machine. extension plugs into the back. Are you able to catch me here? Okay. Into the back of the machine. It's best after each cleaning to flip the safety switch, the safety toggle on top of the machine into the off position. The reason for that is this breaks the current even if you happen to step on your foot switch. I'm plugged in, there's actually fire to the machine, but because this safety switch is off, I can't turn on the machine. If, however, I turn this on, then the machine will turn on. Okay, I'm ready to attach my spring, put my machine into position, and clean. Okay, I've moved the machine closer to the pipe that we'll be cleaning. We specify in the instructions, try to get yourself as close as you can to the pipe opening, leaving just enough room for you, the operator, to comfortably work your cable back and forth. And what that allows you to do is to have more control over the cable. You don't want to get your hands too far away from the machine during operation. You always want to keep one hand by the exit point where the machine is coming through the feed arm. What that will do for you is if the cable starts to torque up, it'll keep the cable from springing out or forward through that feed arm, and also makes it much safer for you. Okay, I have my PVC sewer cleaner's gloves. I have my goggles for protection. And some people often will wear a face mask. Because I'm talking, I would prefer not to wear a face mask for this particular instance. Before starting, insert the cable at least several feet into the pipe before you turn on your machine. Okay, I'll flip the machine into on. Okay, I've inserted the cable several feet into the pipe, turning the machine on. We're ready to clean. I pull some out with the right hand, keep pushing into the pipe with my left. Okay, we've cleaned through the obstruction. There was only a little bit of resistance in this pipe. We've cleaned it periodically, and I'm ready to come back out now. Keep your machine turned on as you retrieve the cable and put it back into the drum so that the cable will stack to the outer part of the drum. It makes a neater stack than to turn the machine on. As soon as I can hear my blade coming back through the opening, I'll shut off the machine.